the beginning of the whole thing was that airplane.
Yeah.
And an airplane those days, I remember the first time out in the country, I saw one flying. And my folks lived on what is, we call the McIntyre place. It's close to Wiggins's. And they went, well, we were on the hill and then down the hill and there was a little ditch and so on. But anyway, that plane went so close, we were so excited. And my dad said, well, it would have been about around down where that ditch was. And that was the first time I saw one flying. And we were excited. I would say I was 7 or 8 years old, 6, 7, 8, down there. And it was real exciting.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Doc Wiggins, you're a vet.
I'm a veterinarian
in
yes,
Memphis. And before the plane, you had this family museum here, and it's full of tractors, vintage
I had bought
tractors.
this building, and we've got tractors in these buildings.
But now you got a plane in here too, which is really cool,
which we're really proud of. Yeah, we're really proud of.
Well, it's great that they had a place to bring it.
Oh yeah,
because it has to be secure, it has to be covered out of the weather,
and we've
all
got
that.
heat and air and everything in here.
And it's kind of nice because we're standing in front of a 1925 Model T,
Model
I guess,
T,
right? And so this is about the same vintage as the plane, a little earlier.
Yeah, it's a 1925 Model T, and a friend of mine restored this Model
Is that
T,
right?
And then another friend of mine purchased it, see? And then I told him if he ever wanted to sell it, I wanted first chance to buy it. So so he called me, and I was doing a C-section on a dog, and he said, Doc, I'm ready to sell that Model T. And I said, well, Forrest, I am doing this C-section. He said, I've got to go on a car ride, but next week, he said, come down and look at it. And he called me next week, and I'd do another C-section on a dog. And so he said, you want me to bring it up? And I said, bring it up. And so he brought it up, and
oh, that's neat.
And so we got together on a price, and he wanted $10,000, and I finally agreed to give him $9,000. I wanted to trade him a tractor for it, but he wouldn't.
You wouldn't take a tractor.
No.
Too bad, because you got a lot of those.
Yeah, and so anyway, then we got then I bought the Model T from him.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and we drive it around here and show it.
Do you?
Yeah,
it's nice that it still runs. It's a good run.
It runs real good.
You're real proud of this one too.
Okay, this is an
Empire.
Empire, and this tractor here. We got this tractor, friends of mine found it down at Tunica, Mississippi, and it's made out of surplus Jeep parts.
No kidding.
And they made several of them right after the war, and then they run out of surplus Jeep parts, and then they had to buy new parts. And by that time, they were cost so much money to build them that they couldn't compete. And it was costing about $1,600 to make this tractor. And so then they had to couldn't sell them, so they went out of business.
I see.
So this is a real rare tractor.
It was a good idea to start with. Use up all those Jeep parts.
Yeah,
huh?
it is, but it's and we had to buy another engine to put in it and everything.
Yeah. Let's go this way.
Okay, yeah, we've got a lot of tractors in here.
Boy, you do.
Yeah.
What's your do you have a favorite here that we could see?
Oh, these are all my. Everyone's my favorite. This is a Graham Bradley here, and it's a real rare tractor. This tractor was sold by Sears and Roebuck.
Is that right?
And it's got a Graham Page engine and a car engine. It was made out of and this is a 1938 model. And this tractor was a featured tractor in the Aegis Arn calendar that they made a few years ago. And they called me last year, and they're going to make another one, and they were trying to run down the owners of these tractors that was in the first.
Is that right?
First calendar.
And they found you, huh?
They found us. Yeah, they found us, and so we're kind of proud of this tractor too. We show it, and it's real original. And, in an A1 shape. Then we've got this Fordson all around here.
Fordson.
It's a Fordson all around, and this tractor was made in England.
No kidding.
And and it came out of Florida. And we bought it at an auction in Columbia, and it wouldn't start. When we bought it, and then my son and my friend worked on it, and now we got it so we can crank it and start it right off.
Do most of these run?
Every tractor in here runs.
No kidding.
Every tractor. We've got 200 restored tractors, and all of them but one run.
And
yeah.
you've got, this is not the only building, you've got 5 buildings full of tractors.
We've really got 7 buildings.
7, and a lot of them you invite the public to take a look
we
at
like
them,
to show these tractors, and we have people come through. We have tractor clubs come through. We have people from all over the country come through and look at the
Isn't
tractors.
that neat?
And farm machinery.
This is a
Lear Big Boy, and this belongs to a friend of mine. He's got his tractor in here. He's a mechanic, and this was made by the Custom Tractor Company, and this Ward's here was made by the Custom Tractor Company also, and it's a real rare tractor, and this tractor here has got a convertible wide front end under it, and that's what makes it so valuable. And that front end is worth thousands of dollars, just the front end alone.
Wow.
And when we take that tractor to shows, why people gather around to look at it. Yeah.
Doc, this has been most interesting, but before we leave here, I just want to take one more look. It's kind of neat, it's a neat view to look down past the tractors, and then in the corner of the building where we've got that wonderful Pheasant Airplane. It really puts a touch on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're real proud to have that Pheasant Airplane back here.
It's neat.
And we've got a lot of people calling and wanting to look at the Pheasant Airplane, and then they also want to look at our tractors and things while we're here. Yeah. We've got a lot of history here, and people enjoy coming back here and looking at this stuff.
Stanley Myers, you're an aviator yourself.
Yes.
And you've lived in Memphis your whole life, most of your life?
I live in Lynn now. I've been gone 22 years from Memphis. But
you're in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you followed this pheasant story your whole life, haven't you?
I was steeped in pheasant lore from the time I was a little kid, yes.
Were you absolutely thrilled when somebody came up with the idea of, hey, we found one of these planes, let's get it back here?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Ronnie Brown called me up and said, have you seen Trade a Plane? And I said, well, I haven't looked at the antique section. And he said, look at it and call me back. That was the start of the whole thing. And I was overwhelmed by the finding of this thing. You know?
I asked you to come downtown here with me on the square because right behind you is the building where Mr. Briggs was building these planes back in the 20s, right?
That's right. That's right. It was the Ford dealership. The downstairs was the Ford dealership. Lee was in partnership with his father, W.P. Briggs, and they sold Model Ts. It was 1927, and they set aside the whole upstairs, and the east side of the building was the welding shop for where they built the fuselages and metal parts of the airplane.
Yeah, and then they also build the wings here?
Oh yes, upstairs.
Upstairs.
Yeah. Now they assembled the airplane at the airport, which was 2 miles east of town, and they took the fuselages, pulled them, I think, behind a Model T on its landing gear with no wings or tail on out to the airport, and they hauled the wings and the other tail services out there and assembled them out there, of course.
So if I wanted to buy a pheasant, odds are what would happen is I'd come with a check in my hand, and then I would fly away with the airplane, I guess.
Yes,
it's at the airfield, huh?
Exactly.
That's interesting. Now this is not the only building. There's one across the square where he I guess he expanded because his business was good, huh?
When Lee was killed, his father sold the dealership, the Ford dealership, to the Delaney brothers in Edina, next town to the south. They didn't want the airplane factory here, so the board reorganized and bought the 00 North building, which is diagonally across the square and 1 block to the west. And they moved the whole operation over there.
And they built them. They built 36 of them. So by 1930, I guess they were done, right? Or were they still building them at that late?
No, 1920. See, the factory was sold in 1929. Moved in June of 1929 to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. My great uncle was secretary and treasurer of the company and worked very hard to try to prevent that. He wanted it here, but he was unsuccessful. But yeah, they moved the whole plant to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. They built no biplanes in Fond du Lac. They built 4 monoplanes, which is the new design.
Well, I want to thank you and everybody on your committee for making your time, being available for this. It's a very interesting story.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I like to tell a story.
I'll bet. Thank you. And as you can see behind me on the mural painted here by the high school students, this town really is steeped in the lore of the pheasant. And if you want to see the pheasant, you or your group, just call ahead and make arrangements. They'll be glad to show it to you. With another Illinois story in Memphis, Missouri, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.